What's up guys, my name is Andre, and in this video I'm going to be covering the intraday range window report on edgeful.com. So very simply, this report allows you to pick a custom start and end time to see how much price will move or what the average range is within that time period. So let me actually just go to 9:30 to 10:30 Eastern time. And what you'll see is this blue bar is the average range, which means the average high to the low in the last 6 months on YM. Now, you can see this black bar and then the gray bar. This is the smallest single day in the last 6 months that has happened between 9:30 and 10:30. So this is the smallest range, the single smallest day. And then here, this is the max range, the single highest day. So this is the highest you can expect, and this is the lowest you can expect. Now you can see here on YM in the last 6 months, I'm looking at that first hour. A lot of people like to trade just that first hour. This is a way to set the proper expectations for whatever range you can expect for that first hour. So let's just look at this day here. This is a random day, January 28th. And you can see that first hour ends right around here. So it's the high and the low of this range right here. So 267 points on YM. You can see the average is 236. So this is a great way to where, let's say price comes down, you want to have a long bias now for whatever reason. There's other reports that you want to use to have a long bias. Now you know that the range here, and I'm going to plot this out so it stays, is 267. So this is the total range of the first hour. But you know that the range that you are looking for is 236 on average. So obviously some days will be higher, some days will be lower. But this here is the range that you want to go for, 236 on average. I'm going to make this green. So price did move a little bit higher, but if you are long here, you want to take the profits off in this area as we're getting into this 236 average. This is really important because if you're expecting a 400 point move or a 300 something point move in the first hour, you are looking to put your profit targets well in excess of whatever the average is. Now, the opposite is also true. If you're trying to capture a 100 point move, you're leaving a lot of money on the table there. So you can expect more continuation, and this allows you to capitalize on bigger moves. Now, another way to use this report is if you move these to be later in the day. So some people like to look at lunchtime. Let's just say that's from 12 to 1 p.m. So that's from, and this is Eastern time, obviously. So from 12 to 1 p.m. Now your range has compressed by almost 100 points here. If you're trading between 12 to 1 p.m., which is from 12 starts here, 1 starts here. Now it's the same hour, it's still 1 hour, but now your range is 100 points less. So if you are going to trade during lunchtime, you need to set the proper expectations of a smaller range. You cannot expect larger moves to happen during this time because the average move, and the blue one's obviously the one that you want to focus on, the average move during this time period in the last 6 months is 100 points less than in the morning. So that's one of the ways that you can start to use this report, is to tell you what is the expectation of my range. I don't want to leave money on the table because I want to know that the average ranges are larger. And then I want to, in this case, you can see this range happened to be less than 100 points. It was 94 points. And if you know that the range at this time is less than average or less than the open, this helps you maximize your winners because you can pull your profit targets in and have your winners actually, or your profit targets actually get hit. So there is that. We also have it by weekday. So this allows you to filter for specific weekdays, and you can see if we're going to go to that first hour, let's just do that. That first hour here, you can see if you just keep your eye right here, how much these will change. So roughly similar, Friday being the highest at 250 as I go through these. Thursday happens to be the lowest, and that's an important piece. It's by a pretty decent margin, almost 30 points. So a very big percentage difference here. And you can also customize, speaking of percentages, you can customize this to be dollars, which would be points here. So if you see 250, just so everyone knows, you're talking about 250 points in terms of the change in the price here. So that's very important. It's 250 points. That's this right over here. And when you look at it in terms of percentage, this is the exact same thing. So 0.58% right here. It's going to be the same exact concept. You're looking at 0.58% right over here. So it's the same thing, a change in the actual price of the instrument that you're looking at. This applies to Forex, it applies to crypto, it applies to futures, it applies to stocks. It doesn't matter. You are always looking at a point change. So if a stock is $10 and it moves $1, that is a $1 point move in that case. That would be a 10% range. So I hope this is helpful. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to our support down here. And please subscribe to our YouTube if this was helpful to you. Thanks.